Sarah, I kind of thought you joining the cast would maybe we would see a romance with you and Reese, but honestly, last season, the most romantic chemistry I saw was between you two.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice that at all? Was that intentional, and do you think that'll go further in the new season?
Yeah, it was pretty obvious what was happening when we get the scripts and it said Shaw and Root are inches away from each other. We're like, all right.
We're like, that was pretty hot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know.
It made us laugh.
We would laugh, but yeah, it's an interesting dynamic that they're exploring, and I feel like Shaw and Root, especially from Shaw's side, I mean, and there is a very love-hate relationship that Shaw has with Root. I think she respects her on one side because she knows that when she, what is that? When she's with Root, she knows that there's going to be some action, and it's going to be heavy, and it's going to be intense, and that's what Shaw likes. But on the same side of it, I think, she bugs the shit out of her, and she wants so yeah, I'm not sure what the dynamic is, but it's turned out to be pretty interesting.
I think I don't think the flirting's gonna stop.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
How is Root gonna handle that everyone else is kind of in hiding?
Yeah, well, even with me, I can't communicate in the same way with the machine. I can't really have that sort of God mode mentality where she's telling me, everywhere to shoot and everywhere to go. So we've all got to sort of this hiding in plain sight sort of thing. But I think that she's going to be there to make sure everyone's following the rules and keeping her eye on all of her favorite people.
For Shaw, I would think it would be pretty easy because she's always kind of seemed to go under the radar, right? So
she's always kind of gone under the radar, but it is challenging for her because this is a character who has a huge appetite for violence, and now she kind of has to operate. I mean, we all have these undercover identities when the episode begins, and they're identities that we don't have; they're not natural to us. So it's a challenge because when we do get a number in the first episode, and we hadn't gotten a number in a while when the episode begins, but then a number does come up, and it's tricky the way I want to handle it because I want to handle it the most aggressive, most violent way possible, but that's also what's going to draw the most attention to me. So it is trying to find that balance, and there's some comedies that come out of that, and so yeah.
Amy, your torture sequence with Control was so great and so intense. And how did you like getting to film that movie? Because what I liked the most about it is by the end of it, Root was in control the whole time, and I got the sense that nothing happened to her that she didn't really allow. So how did you like getting to play that sequence? Was it difficult in shooting with Catherine?
Well, I think that was a 16-hour day, so it actually did feel like torture, so that made it a little bit easier. But Cameron's so great, so I was really excited to get to do that scene. Richard, who used to be our producing director, had come back for that episode, so it was nice to have someone who was so familiar with the show. And there were people on the crew who gave me lots of insight about what it's like to be on different drugs. So there was a plethora of knowledge around them. But yeah, it was just good writing, and it was nice. I mean, Cameron playing off of her was the best part of that.
What can you tease about the early challenges that for both of you, like when the season comes back, like where we find you guys and what you're up against?
Samaritan, our evil AI, has come alive. It's now online, and it's searching for us. And we have these undercover identities, and the team has to find a way to get back together without Samaritan finding out. So that becomes very tricky and dangerous. We have some close calls. What else?
Yeah. I mean, I think the main challenge is that we have to exist, and we can't really hide from the world. We have to be part of the world and still figure out how to get the job done without it noticing.
Even though this is kind of like a hyper reality, a lot of this is grounded in stuff that's out there, that there's the potential for all of this. Are you a little bit more nervous around certain technologies? Like, are you a little more aware or conscious of how you use technology now?
Well, what's funny is before the show, I just lived in this, happy little pink bubble. And, it was like, it existed of, frozen yogurt and babies. And my husband, who was a watcher of the show before I came on board and who thinks along these lines as well, had always talked to me about stuff like this. And I just kind of went in one ear and out the other. And now being a part of the show and having it being said to me at home, I'm so fucking aware now. It's driving me crazy. So, I think, I don't know. I guess we live in a world now where you can't quite put blinders on and you have to be aware. And I guess it's just to everybody's benefit to kind of be like that. I don't know.
I have another, because my character on the show is such a proponent of this thing, I sometimes have a hard time thinking of it as a bad thing too, because we're all using the machine to make the world better, really, even though that some people struggle with it more than others, but I think that's probably the wrong answer. But sometimes I'm like, well, maybe they're just trying to help us.
Amy, do you think it's within Ruth's capacity to build her own version of the machine that could maybe counteract Samaritan or maybe help Harold with it? Because she's proven to be pretty cunning herself, and I don't think I think she could do something.
It's interesting because I think that sort of exploring different AIs is going to be part of this season, in my guess. That hasn't actually been written, but I feel like that might happen. But because we're trying to, so I think it would be, I like that idea. There's never really been discussed how Ruth actually found out about Harold's machine at the beginning, if she was working on her own before or something, so I feel like that could be a possibility, but she's such like a disciple of the machine now with it being implanted in her and everything else. I'm not sure that she would betray the machine in that way.
And did you know the Morse code that the machine would speak in the show to you was authentic and people actually translated it? I think
all of the code they have on there they said that I have no idea what any of it means, but apparently it all means something very real.
As the season begins, is Samaritan then pretty much like the big bad, and or is there any other big bads or like threats that they'll be facing?
The thing is Samaritan is not only the big bad, but they're also recruiting, and they have their own soldiers out there on the streets too. So within the first episode, it's not only just Samaritan, but as its soldiers also that we're trying to avoid and fight.
And you've got Greer is there, but now Samaritan's almost above Greer, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Now that he's set Samaritan free.
Right.
So, seeing what will happen when Samaritan's on the loose.
When you start the season, how much are you told about what's coming up?
I wasn't told anything. And then I remember I was having a wardrobe discussion with one of our executives, Greg Flagman, and he said to me, he was like, I realize I talked to everyone else about their characters this season, and you have one of the most complex, and we haven't talked at all. I'm like, thank you for that. So I didn't know anything until I stepped on that stage and I had my script, and and there's still pieces that they're not revealing to us. So
did you open up the script and it is a surprise still sometimes?
It's almost
every time is a complete surprise, really. They're very tight-lipped.
They don't give us a lot of notice. We got a script that starts shooting on Tuesday yesterday, so that was a long time.
That's an early sometimes people don't get the script until like the night before. Like we've had that happen too.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So yeah, no, it's kind of gnarly. You gotta think fast.
I mean, in the history of the show, like, what's been the biggest shock that you've actually ended up with?
This is going to be the last question. Thanks, guys.
I think for me, maybe, I mean, I haven't been around that long, but Taraji's death, I think I didn't know that was going to come so early.
Yeah, they had sort of said something big's going to happen to one of the characters, and then you're like, oh, that is big.
You're like, hopefully not mine, right?
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.